Hey, I'm Max Clark. I've talked about peer and interconnection, the internet, the fact that the internet is a global computer network of interconnected networks in the past. Still a mouthful to say every single time. And figured I'd just actually share some examples of this stuff, of how networks are actually built and how do they actually work. This is a network map from Zayo's website. Zayo is a fiber optic provider. They have a lot of metro and long haul fiber assets in the United States. They have assets outside of the United States. This is a map of their United States, markets and how they actually connect. And these are really fun because if I zoom in here a little bit, so here's Los Angeles. And if you look at Los Angeles, there actually is cable that connects LA to Santa Barbara to San Luis Obispo. So don't look at this and be like, oh, this map is incorrect. There's this weird cable that's running in the ocean, but it's just a mistake. It's probably actually the cable that's running in the ocean. But if you look at the rest of these cables that run along here, this cable that comes up here to Palmdale and then comes over to Barstow, this cable that comes down here to San Diego, this one that goes from Barstow to Las Vegas, up here we go to Tulare. We look at this thing at a larger scale. What you're seeing here is you are seeing the U.S. railroad network in action and where the rail lines actually run. Like, why does this thing here have this little mountain and this hill in here? I mean, nobody would build a network that had this random thing here. Well, it's probably because there's some kind of rail depot right here. We have to look it up and see what it actually is that has this indent that brings this cutout. When we are doing a capacity planning and we're talking about redundancy on bigger markets, and I'll use this LA to Las Vegas as an example because I'm doing this a lot right now with people. But you want to have a data center in Los Angeles and you want to put a data center in Las Vegas and you want redundancy between those two markets. Well, you can't have redundancy on the same path, this direct path between LA and Vegas. You could rely on your provider to give you redundancy. And by the way, Zayo has a service and products and things like that where, if this cable cut, Zayo could reroute that traffic across a different path. So you can rely on your fiber provider when you're purchasing, name it whatever you want to call it nowadays. You can call it MPLS, VPLS, wave, dim fiber, dark fiber. Well, dark fiber doesn't count, but it has to be some sort of lit service. You can rely on the provider to actually give you diversity and redundancy within their own infrastructure. So if this cable breaks here, route this traffic a different direction. Now you wouldn't have control over the routing of which way it goes, or you could then specify, hey, I want this other pathing and I want this circuit to only be this direction, and I want this other circuit to be this other direction. And then you get into a decision point. In the case of LA to Vegas, do you want to route your traffic for your secondary circuit to Phoenix to San Diego back to Los Angeles, or do you want to route your traffic from Vegas to Reno, Sacramento, and then back down to LA?